All right, so it looks like we do have most of everyone here, so we're going to go ahead and begin. So today we are going to be talking about the overview of the patient portal for what the patient sees and how they actually interact within the portal. So the first thing your patient is going to have to do is they're going to have to navigate to your portal. I'm going to go ahead and bring my portal screen over here. Now to navigate to the portal, they're going to open up Google Chrome, Safari, and they're going to type in your portal URL that should have been given to them on that lovely username and password page that we talked about last class. So for my portal, it's going to be training.phiportal.com. Now, when your portal pulls up, it's actually going to look exactly like this. The only difference is up here where it says Mac Practice Training and our phone number, it's actually going to be your office information. You do have two options beginning at the first login page of your portal. The first part is the sign-in part over here where the portal user can actually sign in. The second part is just needing to schedule an appointment. We will actually come back to this at the end of class so I can show you what that is like. For now, we're going to go ahead and log into the portal. Now, I have created a portal user for myself. So I will type in my username and my password. Again, for your patients and patient portal users, please do their email as their username. It will save you some difficulties later. So just make sure you're always doing the username as their email. Once I log in, you can see that the layout kind of changes. We have some tabs up here across the top. So we're going to start by going through these tabs first. The first tab that's always going to open up is going to be your summary page or your summary tab. This is going to list any unread messages like this here that we have. And it's also going to list any upcoming appointments like I have shown here. Now, a patient portal user can also compose a message to the office or go to the messages from here as well using these links. And they can also schedule an appointment here as well. We're going to actually see these being done in the actual tabs. These links are pretty much just quick links to take you over to the location that it's actually done in. So that's basically the summary page. So we're going to move on over to our messages to take a further look into our messages. So anytime your office actually sends a message to your patient portal user, what's going to happen is they're actually going to get an email that looks like this. It's going to say from your office, you have a message that's available, and then click to log into your account. This will take them to your patient portal, and that will allow them to log in, and then they can view their messages. Of course, this is not going to state anything the message is about for HIPAA regulations. Now, going through these messages here, the ones that are not highlighted in red like this one have already been read and looked into. The one that's highlighted in red is the one that's popping up this little one badge up here is because I haven't touched this, I haven't read it at all. So that's a good indicator for your patients which messages are read and unread. In order to view a message, they can click on the subject. As you can see, it is a blue link that's actually going to open up the message. If they have this little icon here that looks like a paperclip, this is because the message has an attachment to it, which we will go over how you can send an attachment to a patient in a message next week in our next class. But for this example, I'm going to go ahead and open up the message that has not been read yet. So we're going to go ahead and click on this, and you can see this is telling them who it is from and when. So you can see that I sent this patient portal user a message at 8:28 a.m. and then what their message is. They can then reply to you if they would like. Once they hit send reply, you'll see it keeps track of the message. And you'll see where this goes next week in class. You're going to see a lot of what you see in Mac Practice and how it's handled in Mac Practice next week in the next class. So this one is just for what your patients are seeing and doing. So now that I have sent that message, I can go ahead and click back on the message tab, and I can get back to all my messages, and I can see there's none unread at this point. if they would like to send a message, so not replying to one of these messages, but actually send their own, they can use this compose message button here. What they're going to do is once you click on that compose message, you're able to enter in the information. So the first thing, of course, is it's almost like an email, just they have to fill out the information. So the two, selecting who it's from, this is the user that we set up to accept those patient portal messages. So I only have one user available. If your office has more than one, it's going to list them all here. So that's why I stated last week to limit how many users are able to receive those messages. Otherwise, if you make everyone in your office able to receive those messages, that's a lot of names and they're not always sure who to choose. So I recommend having one or two maybe designated people for this. So I'm going to go ahead and select who it's to. And then at this point, I can put in the subject. All of these fields are required. They cannot leave anything blank. I'm just going to put an example for our subject. And then regarding patient. The reason why we have regarding patient is one patient portal user can have more than one patient under them. So I only have Alice Wonder under my patient portal user. However, if I wanted, I could add another patient to my patient portal user. Let's say a parent has more than one kid, that type of scenario. They would want to come here and select the patient that this message is actually regarding. Once they select the patient, then they can type in their message. And send this to the office. So once they hit the send button, you'll see a green line that states your message was successfully sent. Now I do want to show you this great person right here with the heartbeat. It looks like if you click on this person while you're logged in, it actually takes you back to the summary page. So just always keep that in mind if you're somewhere in the portal or if you're playing with it yourself. Just an easy way to get out of anything and back to the main summary page is just by clicking this little gray person up here. Now, if I click on here to compose a message, it's going to take us back through the same thing. It's going to take us into the messages tab. It's going to allow us to create a message the exact same way we just did. And if I go to view all, it's literally just going to take us to all of our messages like we saw earlier. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the schedule appointment tab. Go ahead and click on this. As you can see, this doesn't show them anything about their appointments. This tab is literally just to schedule an appointment. So to schedule an appointment, it's going to ask a series of questions. The reason why your portal is asking these questions is because we set up some boundaries on our appointment types for our online scheduling. That's what it's looking at. So this first question, is this appointment for a patient that has been seen by the office before? This is looking at where we set up our appointment type to allow new patients, existing patients, or new and existing patients. So I'm going to say, yes, I have been seen by the office before. If you remember, we made a new patient online appointment tab, which was just new patient as what they would see on here. With me selecting yes, that does not show up here because I am not a new patient because I've stated I've seen the office before. But if I click no, I have my new patient here now. And you can see that it doesn't say new patient online, just new patient. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select new patient. Once I select my reason for the visit, my appointment type, I can see my calendar. Now, if there is no time available, so if there's appointments scheduled, or for example, today, if I click on today, because I did not set this appointment type up to allow same-day scheduling, there's nothing available today. I can also tell you there's nothing going to be available Thursday and Friday. I did this on purpose. I actually placed a transparency in my schedule on Thursday and Friday to not allow scheduling. This is what I was talking about, how you can use those transparencies to block off the time, because it's going to save you a lot more time and take a lot less effort just to put in a transparency real quick to block off those times. Now, if I go ahead and go to next week, I can see that I actually have time available. So knowing that my appointment time for the new patient appointment type is 60 minutes, I can see that right here, and I can see every hour I can schedule an appointment. Now, let's say I choose a different appointment type that has more doctors on it, that has like Grace and Chantel on here. So for next Tuesday, I can see Grace and Chantel. Now you can see there's kind of a block that's missing, it looks like, from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. That was not set up because of any rules or anything like that we made last time. That's actually just because I have appointments at that time. So MacPractice and the portal knows not to allow appointments at that time. Now, if there are multiple providers and you only want to see one provider, for example, I only want to see Grace. That's my actual provider that I see every week. I can use this filter right here and filter and only see Grace's available times. Then I can select whatever time I want. We're going to go with 1 p.m. with Grace. Now at this point, I need to tell MacPractice and the portal, is this an appointment for Alice Wonder or is it creating a new patient? If it's for Alice Wonder, they're just going to click on this and it'll go on to the next part, which you'll see in just a second. However, if it's a new patient, they can click on this. They'll type in the first and last name, the birthday, the phone number, and the phone type and the phone number. The primary phone number, if the patient portal user has a phone number on their patient portal user file, then it will automatically pull that in here for us. For this example, I'm not going to create a new patient. I'm just going to say this appointment is for Alice. Now, at this point, this is just the confirmation to reserve your appointment. This does not mean that your appointment is actually scheduled in MacPractice at all. If they do not click this reserve appointment button within 10 minutes, their appointment is not scheduled. That time is now freed back up for someone else. If they click cancel appointment, it's still not on your schedule. Canceling this appointment just means it's canceling all the work that they've done until now. So once they click reserve appointment, they're going to see your appointment was successfully created for Tuesday, August 20th at 1 p.m. with Grace P. I can then hit my little gray person up in the corner, and I can see now I have an appointment for Tuesday, August 20th as well. Again, if I click on the schedule an appointment, it'll take us straight to that schedule appointment tab and go through the same thing. Next, we have our actual patient tab, which has our lovely little patient photo on there that we're going to go to. Real quick, I did want to show you what it looks like when they receive the email after creating an appointment. This is a different email. This isn't the one that was just sent to us, but it'll show the time, date, and where the office is, the office phone number in case they want to call and talk to you, or if they need the address or anything like that. So they will get all of this information emailed to them as well. Since it doesn't have any patient information, it is okay to have that all in the email. All right, going back here to the patient tab. Now you can see under our patient tab, we have a lot more sub-tabs. So we're going to go ahead and start with the forms tab first. The forms tab is going to have any forms that are either automatically assigned because they are tied to an appointment type, like we talked about last week, or any forms that you have sent them, which we'll talk about next week in our next mini class about how to send these forms. Now, when they are new, they are going to show up in green. Once they click on that form using the form name as the little link, they can go through this information and enter it in. I'm not going to enter in all of this information. I'm just going to do some stuff. Perfect. And at the bottom, then we can see that there's a submit form. Once this form is submitted, they have an option to go back to the form list. They can see that it was successfully submitted, and now it is in your MacPractice, and you can see what they've put in. We'll see how to handle that and what to do with that next week. Now, if we go back to our forms, I can see that it was submitted, and I can see that now it's gray because I've submitted it. However, I know I accidentally entered something in wrong. A patient at this point, because we have not done anything in MacPractice on our side yet, for that form being submitted to us, can open that form back up and edit that information. And then submit it again. You will get the most recent submission into your MacPractice, just so everyone knows. All right, now that we've talked about online forms, what they look like, and kind of how to go through them and submit them, it's pretty simple. We're going to move over to patient details. In patient details, this is going to show them the patient's information. So it'd be for Alice Wonder, the address, the city, state, phone number, all of that good information. And if they would like to make changes, they can go ahead and click the I'd like to make changes. This is going to open up their demographics for them to potentially type in and change what's entered. So we're going to put an email in here. It's alice@test.com, and we're going to submit it. Now, if I go back to my patient details, I don't have an email still. The reason why is the portal will not update anything without your approval through MacPractice, which again, we'll see that next week. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to health records. Health records, this is where you're going to see any forms that were submitted and you have already taken care of them in MacPractice. So they won't show up here anymore. They're actually going to go into their health records because at that point, since you've seen them, since you've handled them, you've pretty much locked them down so they can only view or download those documents. So at this point, they can view it. They have it here. They can view any of these. If they view a document and they're like, oh, the first name's actually supposed to be Bobby Ross. So it's Bobby and then Ross. So I have it wrong. So at that point, in their portal, they can request a health record correction. They would put in a subject. We're just going to put emergency contact. All right, so I just put in here that my emergency contact first name is Bobby, not Bob. And then I can send this correction. And it will be sent to the office through MacPractice again. Again, we will talk about what we do with those next week when we actually talk about how we handle these different scenarios in MacPractice. Now, going back here, we were in the health records. We requested a health record correction. I'm going to skip over these next few tabs here because I want to go actually into our health record corrections to show you what that looks like. So in our health record corrections, we have 4 different types of statuses. So the first one you can see here is an emergency contact that was denied. This is not the one we just did. Just so you know, this one was one that was done last month. And the office denied this for whatever reason. The office may have sent a message with that, denying it, saying we can't change that, that is what was done, etc. Otherwise, they do have approved, my last visit notes are incorrect, maybe something's mistyped, maybe something was entered in as the wrong day. That one was approved and it looks like the office took care of that and corrected it. This next one here is archived. Archived just means that you received it and either you approved or denied it and then you got rid of it pretty much. So that is something you can do. It doesn't hurt anything really. It's up to you at that point. These last 2 are open, so I can click on emergency contact and I can see what was said. So I can see, okay, the emergency contact name that I put in, I did put this in, just waiting for the office to take care of that for me. No big deal. So you can see under the health record corrections where what their status is and if it's been approved, denied, and so forth. They can also request a health record correction from here as well. All right, going back, we're going to go back to appointments. This is where your patient portal user can see the patient's upcoming appointments and their appointments for the last 30 days. Now, they can also schedule an appointment here if they would like. That's up to them. A lot of the times it's just faster and easier for your patient portal users to go to schedule an appointment. The next thing over is shared files. This is where most of your attachments are going to be instead of in the messages, because a lot of attachments you want a patient to potentially view for a longer period of time is going to be located in your shared files. So for this example, I do have a couple of shared files. Looks like I have an insurance card here. It's just an example for us. And then I can also download it if I want to download it as well. This is really helpful for referral letters or school excuses. You can pop this onto the patient portal, and then they can just download their school excuse if they would need to. Or again, you can send it into a message. Next, we have our access log. This is pretty simple. It's exactly what it states it is. It's an access log. They can click on the date and it'll show them what was accessed and what was done and the times. Again, that's just clicking on the date and it gives them more information. Now that we've talked about all these sub-tabs under the patient tab, we're going to go ahead and move over to help real quick. This is pretty much the same thing that you saw last class. It's just that help page or that introduction page with our frequently asked questions they can open and look at. We do have user settings over here that I'm going to jump over to quick. The main thing in here that I just want to point out is the changing of the password. This is how we can give them basic passwords and then change the password when they log in. Again, I would recommend when you are creating the patient portal user that you actually tell your patient portal user to go in and change their password as soon as possible. So now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and log out using our logout button so we can quickly talk about that schedule button that is shown on our main login page. So scheduling an appointment, if they click on this, it's going to go through pretty much the same questions before. If I say, yes, I've been here before, and I select an eye test, I can select a day, and then a provider. At this point, it's going to ask for your information, meaning the portal user, not the patient. So if we type in this information, then we can put in an email and a password. Twice, this is a way that they can create their own portal user. This is why I can have that new patient appointment type, because they can still schedule it even though they don't have a portal user yet. Now, if I hit next, this is why it saves you so much time when you make their email their username, because a user with this email address already exists. So people can't keep making portal users for themselves, and you don't have a ton of the same person having like 8 portal users, because they have one email, and that's the email that's going to be used as the username. So knowing this, I would have to click my little gray person here. It'll take me back to my login page, and then I have to log in. Otherwise, if I am a new patient, I would put in my information. And then I would hit next. And at this point, it's asking now, am I the patient for this appointment? If I click I am the patient, it's just going to want the birthday. If I am not the patient for this appointment, it's going to want my first, last name, and the date of birth for the patient. I'm going to go with I am the patient and put in a birthday. And we're going to go ahead and hit next. At this point, this is something similar to what you have already seen. As you can see, I am now logged in to the patient portal, and I'm on my confirmation page. Once I hit reserve the appointment, it'll put it into MacPractice for me. If I hit cancel, everything I just did is gone. So we're going to go ahead and reserve this appointment. Voila. Now I can go back to my summary page and I can see that I've scheduled this appointment. All right, so that is all of the information I have for you today. I'm going to go ahead and turn on your mics in case anyone has any questions. Bear with me just a second here. All right, so I have you all unmuted now, so if anyone does have any questions and would like to ask them out loud, by all means, feel free.
Can we use the portal for just like the paperwork and not allow them to schedule appointments?
Yes, so online scheduling is another purchased option. So you do not have to purchase the online scheduling. You can do it just for forms if you would like, and messaging.
Okay.
Yep. The only difference is instead of being able to schedule an appointment on their own and select their appointment type, would be they would have a schedule an appointment, but it would literally be just a message that gets sent to the office, and then the office has to look at the message and would have to contact either the patient portal user or reply back saying that's okay or not.
Okay.
That was an excellent question, though. Thank you. All right, so it is 11:30. If no one has any more questions, that's going to conclude our mini class for today. I'd like to thank you all for attending. I'll be around a few more minutes longer just in case anyone has any questions. If you do come across a question later on, as you are trying out this feature in your own office, feel free to call, email, or chat us here at MacPractice. Thanks again and have a great day.